Okay, in this video we're going to look at how to create a table of values from an equation. So I've got an equation here, so let's look at it. P equals 20H plus 50. So this is an equation representing a person getting paid $20 per hour worked and plus $50 on top of that. So in the last video we looked at how to create that equation from the description, so you can look back at that to review that if you need to. Now, when you're creating a table of values, it's no different than when we create a table of values on the XY plane. So I've got my table here. So the variable that's going to go first in the left column is going to be the one that the rate of change multiplies. So you can see here my rate of change is 20 because that's doing the multiplying. So H for hours is going to go in that first column. And the second column on the right side is going to be the capital P. So, and one thing I also want to mention is that the one that the rate of change multiplies, so the hours, that is known as the independent variable. I'm just going to write that down. So a nice way to remember that is that the rate of change multiplies the independent variable. And the other one that's on the left of the equation is going to be the dependent variable. So when you're doing your table of values, and this is true for anytime you see a table of values in a textbook or anything like that, the independent variable, just going to put the short form there, is always first, and then we got the dependent variable. So when creating a table of values, what you want to do is you want to get some values going to see some data about your equation. So always having 0 as the first one is good, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So you can choose what you're going to go up by. You can go up by 1s, you can go up by 2s, you can go up by 4s. We're going to go up by 1s in this video, so I'm going to go 0, 1, and 2. So that means for the first entry, I want to know if I work 0 hours, how much I'm going to get paid. Well, we can see that's going to be $50, but you've got your equation there, and that's what your equation is there for, to help you calculate these values. So you're going to substitute 0 for hours, and then you're just going to work that out. 20 times 0 is 0, plus 50, and that's exactly what we thought it was going to be. So if I don't work any hours, I'm not going to get that $20, but I'm still going to get that 50 they're offering. So now for 1, so I got my equation, so now I'm going to go back to my equation, and I'm going to substitute 1 for hours, and then I'm going to work that out. 20 times 1 plus 50, so you can see that's going to be $70. Now let's do one more and see if we can see a pattern, because this is going to be a line. This is going to be linear, so we should be able to see what the pattern is after one more. So let's go for 2. 20 times 2. So you can see 20 times 2 is going to be 40. 40 plus 50 is going to be 90. So when I look there, we can see that it keeps increasing by $20. So from there, I could use the pattern if I wanted to fill in a few more entries. So how much for 3 hours? That would be 20 more, so 110. How much for 4 hours? 20 more, 130. How much for 5 hours? 20 more, 150. Now what I just did there, the pattern part of it, it's going up by 20. That right there is known as the first difference. If your first difference are all consistent, meaning that they're all equal to the same amount, in this case 20, that guarantees you're going to have a straight line. So I'm just going to write that down. So our first difference is consistent. And we can just put equal. That indicates a a straight line. And the one way you can look at that is that because in a line, you're always doing the same thing. So here, we're always adding $20 every time our hours increases. So there's a table of values. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to graph that. So let's look at one more. Let's look at one that's going to be negative. And so here I've got a situation. Somebody withdraws $20 per month from an account that has $500 in it. So the equation would look like this. I use B for balance the account equals minus 20. And it has to be minus 20 because you're taking out $20. And you had that 500 to start with. Now before I do my table of values, actually I'm just going to set it up here. So again, the rate of change is not 20, but minus 20. So M represented the number of months, so that's going to be first. Just talked about that. So that's the independent, and the balance is going to be the dependent. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up by ones. I'm going to go 0, 1, 2. I could pick any numbers I want, but for now we'll just go up by ones. So before I start this one, that equation could also be written like this. I'm going to show you. I could also have it 500 minus 20 times the number of months. Notice it's the same thing because up here I had minus 20 and I still have minus 20 multiplying the number of months, and I still had plus 500. So you have to get used to kind of both ways because you are going to see them both ways in the work that we're going to do. Okay, so getting back to the table of values, I got my equation. Let's see what my balance is after 0 months. So I'm going to sub in 0 for M. Now this would mean I haven't started taking anything out yet. So minus 20 times 0, we know it's still 0, plus 500. So that 0 entry, I'm just going to call that the initial value. I'm going to come back and talk about what initial values means in a bit. So that just means I haven't started withdrawing money yet, or this person. So now let's use my equation for 1 month. So I go back to my equation, 1 month. So again, it's not 20 times 1, but minus 20 times 1. So that's going to be minus 20. And a nice way to remember that is that you are withdrawing money. So that means I got 480. And let's do one more. I can put it here. Minus 20 times 2 months. So again, the equation helps you create the data for your table. Now that's not going to be 40. It's going to be minus 40. So minus 40 times, or excuse me, minus 40 plus 500 is 460. And that makes sense because I keep taking out $20. So now you can keep using your equation, or you can look for the pattern. See, the pattern is not plus 20, it's minus 20. It keeps going down by 20. So if I'm going to use the pattern, or in this case now I know that's called the first difference, that means after 3 months, I'd have 440, after 4 months, 420, and after 5 months, 400. So again, the first difference here are all consistent. They're all minus 20. So that's going to guarantee that I have a line. So in the next video, we're going to look at graphing them. So the one that has a negative first difference, we're going to see is going to be a line going down or negative. And the one that has a positive first difference is going to go up. All right, so next